Welcome back to part 2 of section 413. We're going to be talking about the different forms of a quadratic function. Standard form that we're most familiar with, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. The graphing form, that vertex form, y equals a times the quantity of x minus h squared plus k. And also intercept, also known as factored form, y equals a times the quantity of x minus p times the quantity of x minus q. We're going to be talking about each form. Now, in standard form, to find the vertex, the x coordinate is at the opposite of b, all divided by 2a. That's how you would find the x coordinate of the vertex, and then to find y, you substitute that value in to find y. Now, the graphing form, the vertex form, it's nice is because the vertex is given to you. The vertex is at h and k. Remember, be careful with your sign for h. It's always the opposite. And now, intercept form, that factored form, we're given the x-intercepts. The x-intercepts are at p0 and q0. You have to watch your signs for both. You always want to change both of those signs. Now, the vertex is in between the intercepts. The vertex, the x-coordinate, you add the intercepts. It's going to be p plus q, and then you divide by 2. That gives you the x-coordinate of the vertex, and then you substitute to find y. You substitute that value of x to find y. So keep that in mind as we're working on the next problems. We're going to be rewriting forms. Now we're given the equation in standard form. What we're going to do is we're going to write this into intercept form and graphing form. So now, to get it into that intercept form, factored form, we're going to factor y equals. Now, all of these are divisible by 2. So it's 2 times the quantity of x squared plus 2x minus 15. So it's 2 times. Now, we can factor this, and it's a fairly straightforward factoring because our leading coefficient is 1. So it's x and x. To multiply to negative 15 and add to 2, it's going to be a positive 5 and a negative 3. There is our equation in intercept form. So our x-intercepts are going to be at negative 5, 0, and positive 3, 0. There's our x-intercepts. Now, to get this in the graphing form, that vertex form, we're going to find the x-coordinate of the vertex. X equals p plus q divided by 2. So our p is negative 5. Our q is 3, and we're going to be dividing that by 2. So x equals, it's negative 2 divided by 2, so x equals negative 1. And now we can substitute back into the original or the rewritten to find y. Y equals 2 times negative 1 plus 5, negative 1 minus 3. 2 times 4 times negative 4. So 8 times negative 4 is negative 32. So the vertex is at negative 1, negative 32. And what's nice about these is once we find a is our leading coefficient 2, it's the same for vertex form and for intercept form. So now, this is intercept form. And now vertex form, y equals a, which is 2, x minus negative 1 squared plus negative 32. So when we clean that up, y equals 2 times x plus 1 squared minus 32. So there's our vertex form, our graphing form. Now you could graph these on your calculator. If you graph all three variations of it, especially on Desmos, you'll see it's all the same graph. So there we have all three forms: standard, intercept, vertex. Let's do another one. We're going to go into intercept first. We're going to factor. So we have it in standard form. They're standard. So y equals, and we can factor. Our leading coefficient is 1, so it's a little bit easier. Now to multiply to 16 and add to negative 10, the signs have to be the same, and they're both going to be negative. So a negative 8 and a negative 2. There's our equation in intercept form. So our x-intercepts are at 8, 0, and positive 2, 0. We need to change the sign for both. Now, we want to find the vertex. X equals P plus Q divided by 2. Add those intercepts. 8 plus 2 divided by 2. 10 over 2, so x equals 5. Now y equals, you can use the original or the intercept form, 5 minus 8 times 5 minus 2. So y equals negative 3 times 3. Y equals negative 9. So our vertex is at 5, negative 9. Now we also need A, but A is the same for all. A in standard form is 1, intercept form, and in vertex form it's going to be 1 as well. So y equals 1, so we don't need to write it, x minus 5 squared plus negative 9. Or you can write it as y equals the quantity of x minus 5 squared minus 9. There's our equation written in that vertex or graphing form. The next few are a little bit more challenging. Number 11. There we have it in standard form. Take note that A in this case is negative 4. And it's going to be the same value for A for all three versions. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by getting it into factored form, in the intercept form. We're going to factor y equals. Now I can factor out a negative 4 from all three terms. So it's negative 4 x squared minus x minus 2. Negative 4, and I can factor the quadratic. X and x. Now the multiply to negative 2 and add to negative 1, we need a positive 2 and a negative 2 and a positive 1. There's our equation in that intercept form. So now our x-intercepts, just watch your signs, 2, 0, negative 1, 0. Now we're going to find the vertex. So x equals, so it's P plus Q. You add the intercepts, 2 plus negative 1 divided by 2. So it's going to be 1/2. So our vertex, x, is at 1/2. Now y equals negative 4, 1/2 squared. I'm going to go back to the original, plus 4 times 1/2 plus 8. So it's negative 4 times 1/4 plus 4 times 1/2 is 2 plus 8. So now y equals, so it's going to be negative 1 plus 2 plus 8. So y equals 9. So the vertex is at 1/2 and 9. And we know already that A is negative 4. So in that vertex form, y equals A, negative 4, x minus 1/2 squared, and then plus 9. There's our equation written in that vertex form. And once again, you could graph all three of these on Desmos or on your graphing calculator. You'll see the same exact graph for each. Next, number 12. We're going to start. We have it in standard form. We can see a, our leading coefficient is 1, so we can factor it. X and x. Now to multiply to negative 10 and add to a positive 3, we need a positive 5 and a negative 2. So there is our equation in intercept form. So our x-intercepts, negative 5, 0, positive 2, 0. So we have to find the x-coordinate of the vertex. We add the intercepts, p plus q, and divide by 2. So it's going to be negative 5 plus 2 divided by 2. So x equals negative 3/2. Now for y, I'm going to go back in the original. Negative 3/2 squared plus 3 times negative 3/2 minus 10. So y equals, when you square negative 3/2, you get 9/4 plus negative 9/2 minus 10 over 1. I need a common denominator of 4, so I'm going to multiply the second equation by 2 over 2 and the third one by 4 over 4. So y equals 9/4 minus 18/4 minus 40/4. So y equals, when you add them up, 9 minus 18 minus 40 is negative 49 over 4. So for vertex form, y equals a, which is 1, x minus negative 3/2 squared plus negative 49/4. So y equals the quantity of x plus 3/2 squared minus 49 over 4. That's the equation written in vertex form, that graphing form. Once again, if you graph them, they're all the same graph. And then finally, number 13. Now looking at number 13, I can't think of any numbers that multiply to 2 and add to 4. I don't think we can factor this. But what we can do is we can solve for x. We can find the x-intercepts algebraically. Those are the values of x where y equals 0. So now x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. I'm going to use my quadratic formula. So I get the opposite of negative 4, so 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 4 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1 times negative 2, all divided by 2 times 1. So it's 4 plus or minus the square root. Negative 4 squared, so it's going to be 16 plus 8, all divided by 2. 4 plus or minus the square root of 24, all divided by 2. So when we simplify the square root of 24, that's the square root of 4 and the square root of 6, so it's 2 square root of 6. So it's x equals 4 plus or minus 2 square root of 6, all divided by 2. So we're going to split them up. X equals 4 over 2 plus or minus 2 square root of 6 over 2. So x equals 2 plus or minus the square root of 6. So now, what that gave us is that our x-intercepts are at 2 plus the square root of 6, 0, and 2 minus the square root of 6, 0. Now, to find my vertex, x equals p plus q divided by 2. So I'm going to add up 2 plus the square root of 6 and 2 minus the square root of 6 and divide that by 2. Now, it looks difficult, but what happens here is the square root of 6 is canceled. So x equals 2 plus 2, which is 4 divided by 2. So x equals 2. It actually worked out okay. And then y equals 2 squared minus 4 times 2 minus 2. So y equals 2 squared, which is 4, minus 8 minus 2. So 4 minus 8 is negative. 4 minus 2 is negative 6. So our vertex is at 2, negative 6. Now, for all of these, A is 1. So now, there's standard form. For intercept form, it's going to look a bit weird. Y equals 1, so we don't need to write it. X minus the quantity of 2 plus the square root of 6. X minus the quantity of 2 minus the square root of 6. So when we clean that up, x equals, or y equals, x minus 2 minus the square root of 6, x minus 2 plus the square root of 6. That's our intercept form. Looks a little bit weird, but that's what it is. And now our vertex form, that graphing form, y equals, now A is 1, so we don't need to write anything. X minus 2 squared minus 6. There's our vertex form. Like I said, I would take a moment and graph all of those on your calculators, and you'll see that they're all the same graph. That's it for section 413, and that was all about rewriting the forms. Thank you.